Welcome back. The Toronto Maple Leafs dominated the North Division of all Canadian teams this season. They take on their arch enemies from Montreal in the first round of the playoffs starting Thursday, May 20th. Former Leafs captain and legend Rick Vaive, number 22, joins us. Rick, the Leafs are heavily favored to win this series.
Well, and rightfully so. I mean, they've got a pretty darn good hockey club, and I think they've added the necessary intangibles that they need in order to win in the playoffs. They added a little bit of grit. They added some older guys that maybe aren't the guys that are going to go out and score a whole bunch of goals, but they've been there. They know what it's like, so they can, lend all that expertise to those young guys. And when I say young guys, I mean, these guys are 5 years into their careers now. I mean, they're not rookies anymore. So, I mean, they got to realize what they need to do to go out and win in the playoffs.
When you look at the goaltending matchup, Carey Price for the Canadiens, and most likely Jack Campbell bearing a lot of the load for this playoff series, how do you think they match up?
Well, I mean, Carey Price, didn't really have a good year. I think he would even admit that to himself, that or to anybody, that he had a terrible year. And I think, I'll be honest with you, I think this series is going to come down to goaltending. Quite frankly, I mean, both teams have guys that can score goals. They got quick forwards and top six. Both teams have two really good top six forwards and two lines. I think it's going to come down to goaltending.
When you look at Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, Joe Thornton, John Tavares, all of those players, the strengths of those players, and again, you're talking about some youth and some veterans combining on this team. 7-2-1 was the Leafs' record against the Canadiens. Is that why they're so heavily favored, do you think?
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with it. I mean, the fact that they dominated almost every team in the North Division this year, and finished first by quite a bit, and so therefore they should be favored. Now, in saying that, I mean, it's not always great to be the favorite because there's a lot of pressure on the Leafs this year to win in that first round and get through that first round. So if Montreal catches them by surprise and wins that one or two games in Toronto, then it could be a completely different series. I don't see that happening. But anything's possible. If a goalie gets hot, if Price does play and he gets hot, who knows? Anything can happen.
Your longest run in the playoffs was the 86-87 season with the Maple Leafs, beating St. Louis in the first round in 6 games and then losing those 3 in a row to Detroit. What was that experience like?
It was heartbreaking, really. I mean, when you're sitting there and you've got a 3-1 lead in the series, you expect that you're going to win the darn series, and unfortunately, we got a couple of bad breaks, and we got blown out in Game 7. But the other 2 games were very close. They could have gone either way. So it was pretty disappointing, and those are the big things in the playoffs. Health, you got to stay healthy. You can't have injuries to some of your better players. You need a couple of bounces to go your way here and there. And again, you need good goaltending. Goaltending is the key in the playoffs.
Rick, playoff hockey is typically a brand new season. It's a faster game. It's a more physical game. How do you feel the Leafs stack up against the Canadiens on those factors?
I expect it will be. I would expect it'll be very fit. I mean, if you watched all the games so far, I mean, every single one of them are very, very physical. A lot of hits, a lot of stuff after the whistles and that sort of thing, pushing and shoving, and that's typically what playoff hockey is. It's a lot more physical than the regular season, and I expect that this will be as well, even in the Northern Division.
It's kind of a dream series with the Leafs taking on the Canadiens. Do you have a prediction for us? How many games?
5. I think the Leafs win in 5. I just can't see Montreal beating them. I really can't. I don't think Toronto's depth is far greater than Montreal's. Carey Price, again, is a, he's kind of like a wild card. Like, he hasn't played for about a month or more, had a game in the American Hockey League. If he comes in, maybe he stands on his head and it goes differently, but I don't expect that to happen.